Call the meeting to order here at what time is it? 6:12 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well here in October. Hope you guys are still enjoying the weather here outside. Somewhat warm, but soon going to be cold here pretty soon again. But we'll go through it. It's Indiana, right? Yeah. That's what the weather is. All right. First and foremost thing, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. All right. All right. First and foremost, do we have anyone here for public comments? If so, then make sure you get a sign-in sheet, and we'll get that passed around. So when we get to that moment here, we'll get them in. Okay. Any sign-in sheet?
Oh, it probably is over there with Katie somewhere.
All right. First thing we do, we'll get a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
Move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is actually public comments. We'll pass on anyone around for those. For 3 minutes of time. All right. If we can come back to that here, or yeah, we'll come back to that here in a second. We'll move forward here. Next thing on the agenda here is approval of the meeting minutes from the September 27th board meeting.
I'll move that we approve the September minutes as presented.
I'll second them.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Next thing on the agenda here is approval of the CEO report that was handed out to us. She'll pass that out electronically, and also we have it here on the docket here as well too.
I'll make a motion to approve the CEO report for tonight.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Love the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Looks
it's
great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, don't let the accountants do the striping, though. They tend to make the space, in the hospital, I've noticed they make the spaces rather narrow.
Yeah.
So try to avoid that.
I would say the striping has been interesting because the contractors have told us they will be here 3 days now that we've shut down the lot, and we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow to go through what we want it to look like and get it scheduled. So I have requested that they do make the parking spots a little bit wider to accommodate some of our full-size trucks that come here, and also maybe keep us from banging into each other. And then
Right, yes.
there's still a little bit more work to be done because the drainage issue towards the cadet entrance didn't fully get fixed by this. So they're gonna have to build it up just a little bit more to get it to go to that drain. But it is significantly improved from where it was previously, like APA. So we're hoping to have stripes on there within the next week, and then that will be done, and 22nd Street actually starts tomorrow. So.
Thank you. All right.
One thing I did notice here that I had not heard before, it says we will need to do an amended budget. I'm thinking that, I think we've only done that one time, and that was quite a while ago, and I believe that was when the state changed the funding formula. So it's not something that we do often, although as we've talked about before in the finance section, the budget that the board approves in May doesn't actually change. That would be the final column there on our big spreadsheet. However, we pick up the actual months, and then we have asked Bookkeeping Plus if there's any material changes in the future to go ahead and change that so that we sort of have a rolling forecast. But certainly, there are occasions where if everything changes, you do need to amend the budget. Otherwise, your budget versus actual is futile because everything's going to be off, either real bad or too good. So I had not heard that before, but certainly it sounds like we have enough changes going on that we'll certainly do that.
Yeah, and that, with Ball State, the deadline that they put out there is an October 1st, and like, if count day isn't certified until the very end of September, and they're fine with us doing it in November.
Yeah.
Because it just makes more sense that way. You gotta let the dust settle. But yeah, it's not really a State Board of Accounts or DOE requirement, just a Ball
Just
State.
Ball State, yeah. I think they would appreciate the fact that we're valuing accuracy
Yes.
over, just meeting some artificial deadline.
The grant for the prison program, what was that again? If you could refresh my memory. I know it mentioned even in the notes we talked about last time, but I can't. When I saw that was approved, I wanted to refresh my memory on what it was.
Yeah, so what we proposed, Rose Holman has a teacher camp over the summer. It's a 5-day camp down there. It's all STEM integration and really cool projects, and they get access to very, very costly, expensive resources that they just get to come back as part of the grant and bring back to our school. And we'll be able to send 10 teachers to that with the grant. So it is a full partnership with Rose Holman. So then once they come back, Rose Holman will support us over the next year of the implementation of
Oh,
those.
that's really cool. Yeah, awesome.
So very excited and very proud that Casey, that was her first at bat and knocked it out of the park. So
Good. That's awesome.
The manufacturing label on the bus there, is that gonna affect anything other than everybody knows that it's only at 14, you can't cram 30 kids on there?
we can't drive it without a CDL driver.
Okay.
So it kind of defeats the entire purpose of having the bus, and literally have taken it, to Senators trying to get it changed. The commissioner of the state police, it's kind of an interpretation of a federal definition. The previous commissioner said, no, it's fine. That's why when we bought it, we didn't even know this was a possibility because it's clearly a 14-passenger bus. And so then they changed commissioners, and we're 2 years later, and this is a battle from last year where they wouldn't pass the inspection, or it can pass inspection but says you have to have CDL just because it says there. And it's a fluke from the 2008 labeling by Bluebird, but it was Canadian manufacturing error, but then it got sold down in Georgia. And so we've tried as many avenues as we could, including Senator Braun's office, to help with that. And so
The other one is back up and rolling.
yes, bus 1 is still chugging along. Little fix here or there, but we're still getting it through. Yellow bus, so that's bus 3, and the charter bus are good to go. It's just more convenient for us if we have the 2 small buses. We can use them for field trips. We can use them for our small teams. And when we're doing O flights, getting kids back and forth. We do have one CDL licensed person on staff. That's Tyler Hinton, one of our maintenance guys, but not really pulling him a lot to do field trips and those things. So we would have to use Brother Darwin or one of the other temporary bus drivers or hourly, but they all also have day jobs. So
Good to hear.
but there's also a bus shortage.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I seen that you were looking nationwide.
Yes, I will be on my 7th company tomorrow, so. Like, we can pre-order a 2023. Kind of need it now.
Yeah.
But sure, put me on a list and we'll try that.
Hopefully that comes out well for us there. Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion in a second already. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that carries. Next is the financial report here. The
Okay.
approval of the board treasurer report and also the approval of the September 2022 financials.
Right. I think that's a little different wording. In other words, they have to approve my report first. Then they'll, yes, okay.
Yes,
Well,
we
that
will.
puts the pressure on here.
There you go.
I wasn't sure I was going to make it tonight, but I am here, so I had prepared sort of a little press release sheet in case somebody else had to read this. The lighting's not great, although some would say I'm in the dark a lot of the time, most of the time anyhow. I'll try my best to see it. Okay, we'll start with the latest projected year-end results. And since our last board meeting, our bottom line, which is we call total cash net income, has been increased by $245,000 some dollars. And our best projection right now is that we will end the year with a cash profit of $719.847, which certainly is an outstanding result for us. And that would put our ending cash balance over $1 million. If you recall, I think last month we were thinking we might be a little bit lower than that. And that number right now stands at $1,167,945. Now, to what do we attribute the $245,000 increase? Well, I would say most of it actually comes from something that we have talked about since we put together the budget at the last May meeting. When we put our budget together, we don't know how many employees are going to select APA health insurance. And historically, I think between maybe 50 to 60 usually end up with some type of coverage. So we try to be conservative with our numbers. So we assume that all of our employees are going to sign up for every bit of insurance they can get from us. And this month, then, we actually have in our cash flow spreadsheet, we have the actual numbers, which is about $245,000 less than if everybody. So that's something we've talked about because we said, well, there are some built-in buffers in our budget, and this would be probably the biggest one. So this has been used up. So I would say that probably tells most of the story for it. Now, let's see here. Going down to my, gosh, who writes this stuff in? Oh, I did last, that's right, sorry. Okay, going to my next paragraph here. Let's see, give me a second here to, yes. We talked about this quite a bit at our last meeting. The budget, when we put that together, we assumed that there were the ADM count would be a constant 775 throughout the year. However, when we started counting the numbers that we get from Bookkeeping Plus, we report 800 to the state. So actually the numbers on our spreadsheet are assuming that our funding is based on 800 for the rest of the year. Well, we know now that the first ADM count was 850. So as we talked briefly about at the last board meeting, if you start from 775 and go to 850, one could make the argument that we are owed throughout the year an additional $600,000 some dollars. The question then, and that is not included in our current cash flow, it's a big horizontal spreadsheet with each month's actual versus budget, and we have a copy here. Usually you need a microscope to see it, but anyhow, that's what we're referring to when we say what numbers that we work off of. We know that will be changed eventually, but that is not currently reflected. The key question then, and we don't have an answer tonight, is it possible that most of that money, actually it's more like 552 if you take into account that we only get 85% funding on individual education students, is it possible that most of that or some of that money might go down to the bottom line? And the answer is probably no, but I think there's a good chance that some of it will improve the bottom line. So we don't know specifically. The thing is, if the budget was structured around 775, and we know that we have some split elementary instructional eds that we're going to be hiring, about 100 and maybe up to 110. And Joe, you mentioned yesterday some additional computers had to be bought. So we're starting to work down that 550 number, and it probably will continue, because if we got 850 and the staffing and everything was based on 775, I doubt if we'll get to keep most of it, but the good news is I'm pretty sure we'll get to keep some of it, which will improve our numbers. So that's certainly good news to hear. Okay, let's see here. I think that completes the projected year end. And then we go next to the month of September. We don't spend too much time on the monthly data, because what we've discovered is that our income is so dependent on reimbursements. With the exception of our very large innovation grant, which we got early this year, half of it in July, the other half supposedly in January, what we found is when you compare monthly actual and budget, it doesn't really mean much, because we have to spend the money first and then seek reimbursement. So in May, we put together our best estimates of when that reimbursement might come in, and quite often it simply doesn't. So it looks like you've had a bad month. In the pre-meeting report that I sent out to everybody, I did note that of the 12 months of the year, we actually only have a big cash profit 3 months of the year. And this year it was July and August, and that was because about, 1.2 or $3 million in reimbursements that we hoped to get before June 30th didn't come in. They were delayed for numerous reasons, and they all come tumbling in, thankfully, July and August. So we had a huge bottom line profit there. January will be another big month, because that is when our second installment, about $498,000 of our installment grant comes in. And then I believe, based on our projections, I think November and February have modest profits. And actually, the other 7 months, we do lose money. And that's really nothing to worry about. That's just sort of the way our cycle goes. So looking at September was not one of those big months. We had originally projected a $68,935 cash loss, and it came in a little bit more at $77,689. Let's see, the reasons why then, we won't get bogged down into too many details. Actually, the big culprit was, actually there wasn't a big culprit this month here. So let me take a closer look at my press release here. Total income was $45,000 less than budgeted. However, our total expense was $36,000 less, so that sort of offset the loss. And the biggest culprit, which almost happens every month, is we budget a certain amount for the reimbursements on our food service purchases. And that's kind of a wash program for us. In other words, all of the food that we purchase is reimbursed to us, but there's usually a 2 or 3 month time lag. So that accounts for the reason that we had a loss in the month of September. Everything else was pretty much on budget. E-rate this year is going to be a lot less. We had over $200,000 from E-rate income, but we didn't get any in September, which was $13,500, threw us off that much. And we did get a new formative assessment grant for $11,900. So again, just some minor details there that explain what's happening on the September income. Then looking at the September expenses then, actually total instructional compensation was $96,000 lower than budget, which helped offset the supplies, instructional supplies, which was up a little bit. That number, that probably is going to be increased, as we just referred to, with hiring additional people. Let's see here. The only other thing worthy of note here, because we don't really need to get into these details here, I think the one expense, we've done a pretty good job. Jill and all of her staff have done a great job in keeping expenses controlled. Most of our fluctuations on the bottom line have been because of a delay in reimbursements on income. There was one account that I thought even back in May that we were going to miss it on, and that was property and casualty and liability insurance. That's going to be a lot higher than we originally thought back in May, as I recall.
No,
Jill says no.
It decreased by about 8,000.
Okay, but isn't that total account though, let me look here, isn't that total account still a little bit higher than we thought? For example, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. We may just move on quickly from that, see if I can find it here. Oh, there it is, P&C insurance. Okay, $55,872 is higher for the year than we thought, which again is not a tremendously large sum.
Yeah, that's just a catch-up. It's not.
Okay, we had some insurance settlements, as I recall, didn't we? Okay. Well, that's all I have, really. September was not a super eventful month, and the numbers are looking very, very good for us, and there's potential to do even better. So if anybody has any other questions, I just put this together and send it out just to sort of help wade through all of the massive numbers and stuff we get. So please, if there's other questions or issues that we need to talk about, please feel free to jump in.
All right. Any other further questions?
Thank you for breaking that
Yeah.
line by line item differences.
Mhm.
This is I don't have to cipher through that.
Okay, well, it's a little easier to read than the math we get,
Yes.
I'm sure, but.
Yeah.
So it's got to help, yeah. Once you get those things plugged in the way I have them segmented, because I've tried to isolate those key accounts that we normally focus on, the text just sort of falls right in place,
Yeah.
so.
All right. I'll go ahead and put a motion for us to approve the board treasury report.
I'll
And-
second.
Thank you. So we have a motion.
No, I can't vote on that,
Yes.
guys, so.
Yes. All right. See, we have a motion first. Do I have a second?
I'll
Yeah,
second.
second.
Oh, yeah, second. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, second it. All right. We have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right. And officially, I'll put the September 2022 financials. We'll put a motion for that to approve as well, too. If I can put that in the motion. To approve the 2022 September financials.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022 financials.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
All right, motion and second, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the financial report is approved. Thank you, as always, Dave, for all your work with that. All right, any old business? No, not at all. New business now. Our calendar approval for, I guess, next year?
Next year
All
and
right.
the following.
All right.
So those were on affordable, and I believe they're in your packets as well. So essentially, it is the same calendar, same schedules that we have been following for the last few years. We typically just roll those over. There is one change that we are going to approach for next year. If you look in that October, November time period, depending on which, if you're looking at the 23, 24, 24, 25, we are looking at 2 e-learning days back to back so that we can have fall or family conferences. It is a challenge for us sometimes to be able to get those in after school or during school hours, and so this will be a great opportunity to bring families in from homerooms or at the secondary level and at the elementary classes kind of have a set schedule. They can just get on Calendly or a process like that to sign up. It's right after that first grading period, and so, we can start the conversations about interventions that may need to take place or looking at possible retention conversations if we do not meet those expectations. And I think it will really give us better access to the families better access to us, and helping kind of strengthen that partnership. And so leadership team had reviewed that, and we're in favor of trying to roll that out and really make that a structured approach for us. So we think it'll better serve the families. Our fall break will stay 1 week, Thanksgiving break will stay 1 week, winter break will be 2, and then spring break will be 1. And we'll have kind of Labor Day weekend and President's Day and MLK. The goal is always to get out by Memorial Day, and so we're teacher work week's getting a little close to that end of July over the next 2 years, but that's kind of just how the calendar cycle goes.
So we have a board meeting on Halloween next year. We have a board meeting on Halloween next year.
Board meeting on Halloween next year currently scheduled. We
Yes.
could adjust that one way or the other.
So stick your candy out front.
Or I would say we could make it a trunk or treat event.
There you go.
perhaps.
There we go.
I would say
Yeah, nice.
on the trunk or treat, we had that happen on Friday at the elementary, and we probably gave out about 15,000 pieces of candy.
Wow.
When everything was said and done.
I feel
It
like
was
these are all good.
insane, but it was a lot of fun, so.
I do look through.
How did it go with the vendors? Did that
Um,
work out well?
I think we had 4 there. Saudi, you would have 4 vendors, at least 4 were in there. APD was there and riding blow up velociraptors in some of the areas. They had those little costumes, and it was pretty cool. And we did have a albino ball python, and I kind of got challenged into holding that, so I will be sending a therapy bill to the board for that one.
Got any pictures of that? or-
Oh, there are pictures. I
good,
haven't seen
good.
them, but my facial expressions are quite
Priceless,
expressive.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared.
I
With
think
the,
it was like 80 pounds or
oh,
something.
he was huge, and I'm pretty sure he thought I was a nice little smorgasbord for a few weeks. So, but we had armadillo there. There was a velveteen rabbit. The kids had a lot of fun getting to be around those, but I think the adults had more fun. There was also a pug that we were considering kidnapping, making an APA mascot, but
That's a good idea.
didn't work out. So anyways, this calendar, I think it meets all of our requirements. Ball State will approve it. I know the legislators had adjusted how many e-learning days you can have, but Ball State gets to decide if we can do ours or not, so.
That's what I was kind of curious, how much window do we have with that? I know it goes through Ball State priority.
Yes, so Ball State, we approve it, they'll go through it, and they'll be in favor of it. But they, as far as how we go, even the 180-day requirement, well, they could waive that if we needed it to, but we don't, so. That's where their control is.
All right. We'll go ahead and put a motion in for the approval of the calendar for next year.
I'll put a motion in to approve the calendar for the next 2 years.
Next 2 years, excuse me, sorry. Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda, Director Miller, the APA spotlight on the 29th Street building here. It's all yours.
Mr. Austin looks ready to go back here, so I'll be real brief here and then pass it along to our military science department. So thanks again for everybody. Just want to be real brief here. Have a just short spotlight of what took place with us here at 29th Street for term 1. So really we went into this first of the 2022-23 school year, the idea of reestablishing norms and redeveloping some stamina. So I think that was our biggest struggle looking at the first 9 weeks. It is the first time in about 2 years that we have had 0 interruptions to start the year off. So we were able to start off with that Nice week of professional development to start off with, and then get going with 9 straight weeks of school with our cadets. So with those limited interruptions, what we are seeing is a continued need for flexibility. It's being learned again with our staff, with our cadets, with our families. So as we work through some of these, some of these growing pains, getting back to the normal has been the highlight of the first 9 weeks. So we started off with introducing the new, is how I would like to say it, because we did have a lot of new staff that joined us this year. So Master Sergeant Norris joined us with JROTC, Mr. Moore in Social Studies, Mr. Ferris, Middle School Science, Ms. Cook with our Middle School ELA, Mr. Ock with the Academy Math, and Ms. Lisa Rose with our Academy Guidance role. And then we have familiar faces and new roles, so looking at Dr. Malik, Mr. Matty Walsh, who has moved over into our pre-academy math, and Mr. Stoudemire, who is working in an administrative assistant role. So everybody is kind of starting to work forward and get those new roles in place. So a couple Turb 1 highlights I just wanted to draw attention to. So our event management team and Brielle Rue and that group, they have done a great job of spotlighting a lot of the things that are taking place here at 29th Street and across the corporation. But one of the things that we have not rolled out yet publicly, but has been taking place internally, has been our adoption here at 29th Street of our 7 Healthy Habits and the Leader in Me program. Really excited. We just finished our second coaching session with our Leader in Me Lighthouse team yesterday, actually. So that is an ongoing process for our 6, 7, and 8. Really proud of the staff. So we have 6 staff members that are taking the lead on that. So Mr. Quarles, Ms. Caitlin Plummer, Mr. Ferris, Mallard McCullough, Dr. Nollick, and Ms. Julie King is our team lead on that, along with the number of students from different grade levels. So every grade level is represented, 6, 7, and 8. Really excited about the leadership that they are showing. So there is going to be some surveys and more information coming out. Our relationship with Covey, we are really excited about that. We have a few more coaching opportunities that are going to take place for our kids. Then we'll return to the building again. I believe that was at the end of November, and then again in February, and again in March to continue that process. So we are really excited to see what they're able to build out. Really excited. I'm sorry she left. Clara, wanted to highlight her tonight. She did qualify as a freshman for the cross-country regional, so that was really exciting, athletically. So wanted to recognize her. But he's here today, and I want to say, because he's part of Raimundo and our Hispanic Heritage Month committee with Miss South, the program that they were able to put together. So the cadets with Miss South's leadership and guidance, they were able to put together and produce about a 50-minute long demonstration of a tour of our Latin American countries that are represented here at APA. So those countries were Guatemala, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Panama, and Mexico. They were all represented. It was a great opportunity for our Hispanic students to illustrate their cultures, specifically our local cultures in the way that they celebrate, but then they were able to direct it and promote it. So we were really excited about that. Also in the academy, I'm really excited with the work that Mr. Stoudemire has been a great support to Miss Rose. College Go Week, we had over 100 applications sent out by our senior class this year for college applications in 1 week. So we are really excited about how we are moving forward with that. Also, with our 8th grade, we were able to visit the War of 1812 days. Mr. McBean once again organized that entire trip. So that is a yearly trip that our 8th graders look forward to. Had great reports. I think we had 1 student issue, but nothing that is resulting from us not being able to go back. So our kids had a great experience for our staff. I think Dr. Nollick, am I correct, Mr. Austin, is looking forward to the trip next year.
Yes.
And she is greatly looking forward to planning that out. So the last thing I wanted to highlight that took place, if you've had the opportunity to see our Facebook page, was Miss Rose in her role in the counseling department, we put together for the first time what we called a champions breakfast. So we gave our cadets or our teachers the opportunity to nominate one cadet, and it was a really neat opportunity. It was not based solely on grades. It was based on grades. It was based off of character, leadership, just somebody that you wanted to recognize. So our staff, we were able to feed that day about 25 students who were able to participate. It took about an hour, hour and a half out of the morning. They were able to come in, and it was a great opportunity for 6th and 7th graders to sit down and socialize with some of our upperclassmen. And it's we are really looking forward to that. So that will be a 9-week progress, 9-week program. So at the end of this semester, we will once again be having another champions breakfast. And if you have the opportunity to come out, I will send the dates out. It'd be great to see some of you to come out and participate. Last thing for me, and then I want to provide the floor to the military science department, is upcoming Term 2 events. I want to make sure everybody is aware. First of all, Civil Air Patrol O flights are continuing. They kicked off today. The weather was finally cooperating, so hopefully we're able to get through a few more of those. But also want to make everybody aware that November, Friday, which is Veterans Day, our Veterans Day program here at 29th Street will begin at 2 p.m. For those of you that are veterans, we are inviting our veterans in at 1:35 that afternoon. We will have a reception in our JROTC Military Science Room. So if you have with you, you'll be able to have appetizers and kind of a before event kickoff with you and your cadets. So we would love to have you out on that evening. The last thing is I want to make you aware of is that Saturday, November 12th at 5 p.m. here in the hangar is we do have our Blue and Silver Night, which is an alumni night. Our event management team along with girls and will be supporting. So that is a great night for our alumni to come out and participate and be a part of the community that they help build. So if you can come out and support those evenings, we would greatly appreciate it. So I want to leave the floor. If are there any questions about it, anything? If not, I want to provide Mr. Ross as much time as he needs.
He's very willing to give that up, isn't he? Set up. I apologize. I like to always do that right from the get-go. But I have, make sure I get that password right. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Austin. I think this is my 6th year here. I'm a 20-year retiree of the Army. I've been doing, I think I've been wearing a uniform for like 37 years now. I'm 63. At some point in time, I'm thinking I'm giving it up. I don't know. But every year, I just keep coming back. So, here's the deal. I went in and asked the Commandant if I could come and talk to you all so you know what's going on in military science and the CAP and the Junior ROTC program. I brought 5 really fantastic cadets, and Mom, I appreciate you bringing her here, okay? As I would their parents as well. But I'm going to take some pressure off of them, okay? Because my apology is because I have not been able to find the time to spend a lot of time rehearsing with them so that they could accurately give the briefing, okay? But I want them here because, as Eric and Colonel Smith and Sergeant Tidwell will attest to in CAP and Junior ROTC, we teach about leadership. We teach about how an organization runs, so this is kind of twofold for them. They get the opportunity to see who makes the decisions for the school and how that runs, okay? And I also tell them that everybody works for somebody. And so as we kind of go through this, they're going to look at you because I've told them that you work for them, okay? And kind of if they're not here, then there's really not a purpose for you all to be here. So we kind of go that stuff back and forth when we see those situations. So if we would, this is kind of awkward, or spacing wise, but I'd like for each of you just go ahead and stand up and start over here with Passwater and just let everybody know who you are and some of the things you did in CAP. And then Alex, you guys go ahead and go right from there and then we'll get right into the briefing.
Hello, I'm Caden Passwater. I've been with Civil Air Patrol for 3 years, going on to 4. I've been to encampment, which was a really fun time. and I really enjoyed it.
I'm Alexander Porter, and I've been in CAP for 3 years, and going on 4. And I've been to encampment also, and it was a great time, and I love being there.
My name is Raimundo Cruz Sanchez. I'm in junior RTC. It's my 2nd year. Time for going 4, staff sergeant, and I think that's it.
I'm Valerie Fisher. This is my 2nd year at JRTC, and I am master sergeant.
I'm Anita Chambers, and I'm coming back to CAP. And one of my favorite things to do in CAP is on the flights, and I've been co-pilot one time.
Okay, so everything I'm gonna talk about, if you have any questions, there's no formalities here, just ask. They've all either did it once or they did several of those events, okay? So we'll pop right to it here. Civil Air Patrol now is available for grades 6 through 12. Our enrollment currently stands at 325. I am the commander. We're the largest cadet squadron in the nation. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a huge headache. And last year we were selected as the Great Lakes Region Unit of Distinction. Our junior ROTC program, I think for the 2nd year now, is available for 8th graders through 12th grade. Their enrollment currently is 76, and Master Sergeant Norris is the commander of that unit. Just so that gives you a rough idea, this is the curriculum we follow in CAP, and the cadet super chart is the format in which the cadets get their promotions. Okay, you'll hear him say, you know, I passed my curry exam, I'm going to do this one. Why do I have to wait so long, and so on and so forth. So that's what we follow there. In the junior ROTC curriculum, same thing, it's leadership education. Okay, so it's steered 8th grade, 9th grade, straight up down the line. Patriotism, citizenship, all those different types of things that you would expect. But those are the base core subjects. And I don't think that any of these 5 are going to tell you that's why they're in those 2 organizations, okay? And they probably dread those days. So, some of the summer activities, and when I stress that it's a co-curricular or a joint thing, then it means that CAP and junior ROTC is doing that together, or is strictly a CAP or strictly a junior ROTC. And it just depends on what the event is. As you had a couple of the cadets talk about the encampment, we send 10 down there this summer to Camp Atterbury. It's 1 week. It's a great opportunity for them. We look to double that number this year because now the word's kind of spread. Now they've seen things and they say, how do I get this? How do I get that? And they want to go back to encampment. And that's normally done the 2nd week in July. 4th of July parade, it was a good experience. I think, Alex, you were on the 4th of July parade, probably a long route, but it's a great opportunity for them to get out there and the public see them. And you know, we get comments or people call and say, hey, can my kid be in CAP or junior ROTC and not attend APA? Well, unfortunately, they cannot, okay? So we give them some options there, but I do get that question a lot. Fall activities. The big thing for us are O flights, and I can just tell you, I was in here at 5:30 this morning. We did actually get to do O flights today. Okay, all last week, every day I planned for O flights. Planning means aircraft weight, amount of fuel, cadet weights, how many pilots I have, what time they're coming in. And so when one day's a wash, I gotta go right back to the next day. So we had 4 days of that last week. So we will not be able to fly tomorrow, unfortunately. We put 40 6th graders up today. They had the times of their lives. I think there was probably 21 families that showed up out there. So I don't know if they don't have jobs or if they took time off, but they were there to support their child. And so that's a really great thing to get them out there. And for those of you who don't know what O flights are, of course, we have flight simulators in our classroom and we teach all those different types of things. And so when they go out on O flights, and this is both junior ROTC and CAP. Okay, so when they go out on O flights, Cadet Porter may say, okay, I want to be the co-pilot. And if he's did it, if he's not did it before, it's his first time, he may just, you know, the pilot's probably going to say, hey, okay, take it a little left, take a little right. Okay, let's go down, let's go back up, let's level, we're off, okay? But then the second time he goes out there and he's a co-pilot, he's going to do more. And when they get to their 8th syllabus, they really do a lot. We currently have a 6th grader and a 7th grader who are going through a pilot program and are getting their own flying lessons. And we will complete that process by the time they're 16 to get their pilot's license. So that's a really, really great thing. And so the O flights, we'll have to cancel them. We'll kick them back up on Thursday, and then I'll have to plan for another week, hopefully to get the high school cadets in on O flights, and then we'll do it again in the spring. But it's all dependent upon, you know, the number of planes, the number of pilots, and right now there's a lot of support being sent down to Florida because of the damage down there. So we'll get to it. Then of course we have a radio club, or a radio controlled planes and drones where we take the kids out to AMA and Muncie. Mike Dean heads that up. He does a great job. Yes, we have lost some drones. We don't know where they're at. They're not to ever be recovered, I can assure you of that. The planes, we've been lucky enough to visually see where they're at, so we're okay with those. But it's a lot of fun for them to do that. Each of our kids go through the license so that they can do the drones. And we've actually had some students that realtors have come and asked if they'll come and do some work with them with the drones for their stuff, and they get some compensation for that. So it's a cool deal. More fall activities. You probably heard about the high altitude balloon challenge. Okay, we host that as well as participate in that program. It's a great program. Our kids learn a lot from that, and so we enjoy hosting that. And then as Director Miller spoke up, the Veterans Day ceremony, it'll be a combined ceremony. Junior ROTC will provide the color guard. Each of the commanders for those branches will be guest speakers. This year I'm supposed to have Senator, what's that guy's name?
Ron?
So is it Mike Brown?
No, the other one.
Young,
There
Todd,
you go.
yeah.
So far the emails, and we're supposed to be good, and I'm betting you the day before he's gonna cancel on me and I'll be up there talking about something. Co-curricular activities that we do, okay, and we don't combine our color guards, but we both have color guards, okay, because there is a demand for those. Rocketry, we do that together, okay. Some classes we combine to do that, or Eric has his classes do it separately, and then we have some of our lower grades do the rocketry. I'll get into where we get all of that stuff from, and we do that at the high school level, middle school level. We're going to dive into rifle marksmanship, and the kids are fired up about it. We'll see how that works out, okay? So it will be a lot of fun. Junior ROTC has the rifles. I can teach that. Eric will get qualified with it as well, as will Mike Dean and Josh Flathauer, the other 2 captain instructors. So it really, really should be a fun time. And, you know, it's going to teach those kids about discipline, consistency, and all of those different things. So it should be a lot of fun to do that. And we'll do that during the winter. Some other co-curricular activities, of course, the rocket building and the school flag detail. Junior ROTC will take it 1 semester, we'll take it the next semester, so each of the kids get the opportunity to do that. And it may not seem like a huge responsibility, but it's a big responsibility. Every teacher upstairs looks at that flagpole. If something didn't go right, we get that call down. So they know, they go, who told? Like, you just get back out there and get that flag straight. Okay, so it's a lot of fun doing that. Mike Dean is one of our CAP instructors. He has kind of been the pre-academy subject matter expert in the makerspace. There's not much that he can't do. He is now sewing all of our CAP uniforms and some of the junior ROTC uniforms because there's a sewing machine. He's doing 3D printing. As you can see, those are rockets that our kids have printed. Okay, we are actually going to fly some of the rockets that they're printing up now. And there seems to be no limitations to what he can do in there. As long as he can find a YouTube, we're doing it, okay? So it's a lot of fun of doing that. Here's a really, really great asset that we get in CAP other than going and flying the planes. Okay, STEM kits. Every CAP instructor, every junior ROTC instructor can order STEM kits. I just know off the top of my head that we have all these in the school corporation. Up there on the left is coding that they have over at the elementary. The Spiro Bolt is a really, really cool thing. It's a robot ball that they program with their iPad, and they do all kinds of sorts of things with that. We probably have 4 of those in the building. The RC planes, I don't know, we probably have 7 or 8 of those. The quadcopters, we have those. 30 Days in Space is teaching about circuitry and coding, so it's a really cool exercise. Flight simulators, we have several of those. And then, of course, the rockets, robotics, and then I think Mr. Applegate upstairs ordered a telescope, and he's fired up about the eclipse. And I don't know anything about it, it's not on my radar. I'm sure I'll find out the day before of when that thing's supposed to be. But the beauty of this is that any of our teachers in the school corporation can sign up to be an AEM, which is an aerospace educator, and they could order the same products. It's $35 to do their membership, and it's good for as long as they are a teacher. All they have to do is go in and renew it. So we have 14 of those in our school corporation. So that's a really cool deal for us to have that. Spring activities, we do a aerospace day over at the elementary school. We'll send, they have the foam rockets, they have the balsa planes. There's several things that we send over to those teachers, and then they go through and teach them with their classes. And then we come over with our cadets, and we'll include junior ROTC this year in that activity, and they go over and work with the kids. And they have a great time, and then we round the day up and we fire some rockets, okay? So they like watching those rockets go up. So it's pretty neat to do that. We'll do our O-flights in the spring, okay? Same type of scenario. It's really tough to get, not all 325 kids want to fly. So we most generally average about 260 of them that will get up in that period, and we really have to have a lot of support to do that. And then the last thing I tell you is, of course, we have an award ceremony. Eric has one for junior ROTC. We do primarily the one for the pre-academy, because that's where the bulk of our cadets are at. That may change in the next couple of years as we transition into all 4 classes. Future activities, field trips, and since Eric's here, I'll give him the floor there for a bit to kind of talk about either field trips, but I know we are going to go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We're going to go to Camp Atterbury as well as the Columbus Airport. And we've got some trips planned for Camp Adventure over in Muncie, which teaches team building activities, high ropes, low ropes, and all that kind of stuff. So we've got it's a really tough schedule, because you got to put academics in there. They tell me it has to be in there, but we've got all these fun things, okay? And then we'll do a military ball this year, and there's been one in the past, but this will be both branches, the Civil Air Patrol as well as junior ROTC. So it'll be a combined military ball. It didn't seem fair to have to take all those resources and split them up, and so we'll see how that works out. And then Eric will probably initiate more drill team stuff than probably what I will, but I'll assist him in that process. And I think that is, we're good for questions. You can ask questions of me or any of our cadets. I don't want them to fall asleep over here, but I want them to get both sides of that picture. Yes, ma'am.
So are students able to be in both CAP and JROTC at the same time?
That is a very interesting question. I will tell you that I can give you lots of scenarios. The answer to your question is yes, okay? And because the students know that they have to get 8 semesters of military science, some of them have said, you know what, I'm gonna take junior ROTC and I'm gonna take CAP. And I'm gonna do that each semester, and then at the end of 2 years, I will have met that requirement. So some of them are actually plotting and figuring all this stuff out. So yes, they can be in both. Now you might ask, okay, well, how do you do uniform day? Well, I just say, okay, you're gonna wear it for him one week, you're gonna wear it for me this week. If there's some conflicting things, they just pick or choose what it is that they're going to do. So yes, we've encountered that already, and they can do that.
So the uniform day is the same for both?
It is. This year,
Mondays.
kind of, I wanted to vote on that one thing about the July week you talked about, but I figured out I didn't have a vote. You said it was a teacher workshop, and then there was something else. But with the schedule we had, the yellow day, it really works well for us, because that's the day we make uniform day, both for junior ROTC as well as CAP. You see all the students. It's the right amount of time to do your inspection, so it works out really well for us.
And then does everybody go to Wright-Patterson or just certain students? Because I think in the past, like, you had to be like not on some sort of disciplinary.
I know.
I didn't know.
It will be treated as is any other field trip. So if there's a reason that you put yourself in a situation where it's probably not best for us to take you, then no, you wouldn't be going. But the opportunity will be available for everyone.
And that's both cap and
junior
JR.
ROTC.
Okay.
And it won't be cap going with junior ROTC, junior ROTC going with cap. Okay, and it's a funding issue. Okay, because the Air Force funds them entirely, and cap I'm a little bit different. So it's two different pots, but could we both go the same day? The yellow bus in front of the other bus? Yeah, we could do that. There's nothing wrong with that, just as long as we keep the money separate and fulfill the mission. Yes, sir.
For encampment?
Now remember, I got these guys over here and young ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For encampment, when you say we're sending in 10, is that school sponsored, or is that, or self-pay? I'm just curious how that was working.
Well, here's how it works. We've had two changes in CAP, and one of them started just this first October. Now when a cadet enrolls into the CAP program, so they pay $35. Okay, when they enroll into the CAP program, I now categorize them based on financial need for what's called the Curry voucher. Okay, in the past, it was $100. But we can only purchase stuff from one store. It's called Vanguard. So a shirt, if I remember correctly, is $44, and a pair of pants is $50. A pair of the shiny shoes, like Alex and Caden's got on, they're like $52. So if you add that together, you say, wait, we got an issue there. Okay, so now they've upped it to $125, which is a really good deal. But to answer your question on encampment, there's also an assistance program with encampment. So when the application comes to me and I approve it as a squadron commander, I can then approve for them to go in and ask for assistance. And each of you got assistance, correct?
Yes, sir.
You got assistance? Yes, so I think everyone that we sent got assistance. And then the other things that we need, we figure out a way to get it taken care of. Yes, ma'am?
Is encampment then not mandatory?
No, it is not mandatory.
Okay. Because I made my kids go the first year.
I like that as a mom, okay?
So.
I like that. And here's kind of been my deal as a CAP commander. When I was in just grades 6 through 8, I was a tad bit hesitant, okay, because of the age difference. I mean, some of our 6th graders are only 11 years old, and I'm sending them down with kids that are 17 and 18. The language is a little different, the experiences are a little different. So, but we were very lucky this past year. We did send some 6th graders, okay, but we made sure they were put with the right chaperones or supervisors down there. Lieutenant Fathauer was part of the cadre down there. Lieutenant Dean and I support all the O flights for encampment, so we see them every day. But no, nothing's forced on them. It's completely voluntarily. They can't go higher. They can only go to a certain level with their promotions if they don't have encampment. And that's been the obstacle the last couple of years, but now the gates are open for them. So yeah, we'd like to encourage a lot of them, but it is, logistically, it's pretty tough. Because most squadrons will tell you they've got 10 or 12 in their squadron. No, it's a nightmare with 10 or 12, because they got 325. How would you like to have that? So pretty neat little deal. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering, Caden and Alex, could you guys tell us a little bit about what encampment is like?
Encampment was about leadership. We had a few leadership things we did, like our guidons. We had to lift with one finger multiple different times, trying different methods of doing it. One of which was without talking. One was with our eyes closed and without talking. And the other one was just talking and trying to work together.
I think encampment was a blast. It taught a lot about discipline, and it taught you how to work with your team. It was just an amazing thing. I couldn't really say anything bad about it at all. It was just an experience, because the people there that try to help you along the way, they're tough on you, but they're tough on you for a reason, because they help you move forward and help you a lot.
Did we repel?
Yeah. Yes.
Mike, want to talk about repelling?
We got we had they had the fire department come out and they set up their rappelling tower for us. We got to rappel. It was a really fun experience to learn how to do and see some other cadets have fun as well.
It was just an interesting experience. I don't really want to go on it that much, but when I got in, it was pretty fun.
So they're down at Camp Atterbury in the Mitch Daniel Barracks, which is a phenomenal facility. Okay, they eat all their meals there. They get to intermingle with other cadets from different environments and schools and talk about that. I think the rappelling is really challenging for them because it's a 40-foot rappel tower. Okay, so most of them have never encountered anything like that before. Just getting along with all those new faces, okay, is a really, really good experience. And then figuring out who's the leader going to be. Okay, and so it's a really interesting experience for them. Would you go back?
Yes, I'm going back I'm going to go back as a flight sergeant.
Yeah, I'll go back.
And if they go back, then they'll become a cadet cadre. So that'll be a pretty cool deal for them. Okay? Any other questions?
I was wondering how many think that they, upon graduation, will go into the military or perhaps something else. I don't know if all of them are like juniors or seniors or.
Yeah, sophomore, freshman, or eighth grader, freshman.
Okay, they got, most of them have a little ways to go.
What did I say? Did I?
Ah.
Okay. So, and here's my experience with it. Okay. What when people ask, what do you teach at APA? I never say Civil Air Patrol. I always tell them I teach students. What do you mean you teach students? I go, exactly. I don't teach a particular subject. I teach students. Okay. So, and they do the same in junior ROTC. I know that. Okay, it's lifelong lessons. And I talked to Ms. Fisher about this just this evening, didn't I? Okay. A lot of times they don't know how to introduce themselves. They have never stood up in front of a group like you and had to give any type of conversation or answer questions. So if they do go in the military, that's great. And Eric and I have set up with having each of the military recruiters in, and that's the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, the Indiana Air Guard, and there's a couple others, the Space Command, and the Air Force recruiters will come in on those Mondays. That schedule's working great for us. They'll get to talk to all 7 periods. And you know what? I don't want any of them to go in because I said it or talked about it. I want them to go in because they see the other opportunities. And it is a great opportunity for them. But I wouldn't care if they go in Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy. It makes no difference to me. Okay, but it is a great opportunity, and we expose them to that. So I think just being in either the CAP or the Junior ROTC program is really a phenomenal program for them. It really, really is. What else do we have?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Yes. First and foremost, the O flights. How many do they get per semester? And then throughout the year?
As a minimum, most generally, they're each going to go on 2 O flights throughout the year.
Okay.
Now, I've got some that'll tear down the door and they'll slip through the cracks, and I go, whoa, wasn't you just out here? I know, but I want to go again. Okay, well, you're already at the airport, so I don't have much of a choice. So some of them, I don't know. Alex, how many times have you flown? You know? Yeah, that's probably right, 9 times. LaDeja? 3 or 4? Okay, and Ms. Fisher, you have?
I've flown twice.
Now you have it, right?
No.
Are you gonna go?
Yeah, I signed up.
Okay, so, yeah, so especially, moms call me and says, is it true they're gonna get to go up in it? Yes, ma'am, it is. Okay, do I have to pay for it? No, ma'am, you don't,
yeah.
So it's pretty cool, but yeah, they'll go up a minimum, weather permitting, if I can get them in, twice a year.
Awesome. So if they want to do that, say, do they get to do that every 3-4 years plus how many years until they graduate? And
Well,
is there opportunity for them to move forward with the Air Force or stuff afterwards if they want to move into a career into aviation?
Well, I'll answer that kind of twofold.
Yes.
If they are in CAP or junior ROTC, high school level,
Yep.
okay, and then go into a branch of the military, they'll go in at a higher rank.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's the same for CAP as it is junior ROTC. I don't know that will pull any type of advantage for them to go into a particular branch, aviation or anything of that nature. But going up and having that experience and the flight simulators that we have in our classrooms will definitely give them an edge up into to aviation and those different types of things.
Awesome, absolutely. Next thing I have for them is cadets. Tell me what's the fun thing you did on your O flights?
Probably zero gravity.
Zero gravity? Yes.
Hmm.
Letitia?
I'll have to say the same thing, and learn how to see it.
I would say, I didn't do zero gravity sadly, but, I think learning about like how they became a pilot, or like how many years they've done it, or just like the history about them, being a pilot, I think that was pretty big.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
I'd have to say learning about how to fly is probably the coolest part about it.
So it's really unique that we're letting them see that it's possible, you know, and that they can do it, and they get up there and go, wow, that was cool stuff, and I can do this. So, you know, that's not an opportunity you get everywhere else, so it's really fun.
So my last question I have is, has the Civil Air Patrol in the state of Indiana, each units be able to engage in a weekend together? There's other units throughout Indianapolis, and I did not know if there's an opportunity if the Civil Air Patrol kind of works together one fun weekend that all the units get together, network, do some building stuff together, and all kinds of activities.
There is, yes, and encampment is kind of
that one. Okay.
culminates it all because it's the Indiana wing that hosts that. You'll have a lot of Civil Air Patrol units across the state of Indiana, but they may only have 4 or 5 cadets. And ironically, we're going to host a couple things here at APA in the coming year. One's going to be the drill competition, and the other's going to be one of the conferences they hold. So yes, we do see then the high altitude balloon challenge. We saw and met other units. We had units come from Kentucky, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan to come and participate in that high altitude balloon challenge. So yes and no, we do, but we do.
Yeah, and pre-pandemic, they had some competition week besides the drill competition. Remember, I think we hosted it one year.
We did, and it goes from everything. It's drill, it's color guard, it's the raising of the flag and lowering of the flag, and a written test and a physical fitness test and all of that. And so they said, hey, can we now bring that back? I said, I don't have a problem with it, that's fine. And I would tell you, we get great support from our administrators in CAP. And anything that we do, okay, I'm very happy with that. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't be here. Okay, so I'm very happy with all of that. And you know, parents are very, very good at supporting the cadets in the program as well. Because it's a pain. It's a pain if you get that call on Monday at 9 o'clock, say, Mom, I forgot my CAP uniform, can you bring it in? Oh, no problem, I'll be right in there. But they stick to the standard, they know what it is, and so it's really been fun with that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Austin, and also Mr. Miller, for what you guys are doing.
I'm going to leave you one last thing, okay? So it's just to me, okay? And I want you to understand the importance of having our junior ROTC guys or gals and having our CAP guys or gals. You know, normally a teacher teaches a 6th grade class, and that's kind of it. I can tell you that, and Eric's not been embedded into things yet, so this is nothing negative toward him. But, you know, with the 3 instructors we have in CAP, a couple of us are school safety specialists, a couple of us are basketball coaches, one of us is a middle school athletic supervisor. There's just several things, several hats that prior military person will bring in and is very willing to do. So I would just tell you that both programs are very, very valuable in school. Please don't send them anywhere else. All right, well, I appreciate your time, and they are always available if you have any questions or want to come to the classes. O-Flights will be kicking up on Thursday. I'll try to do it again the week before Thanksgiving, and you're more than welcome to come out in the spring and come and see the...
We might add, I imagine the cadets are not aware that our chairman, Ryan, is a pilot for Republic Airlines, which is headquartered in Indianapolis. So if you want to talk to a real airline pilot, here's your chance. So now, or I guess give him a call or whatever. Huh? So,
yes, we want to.
Yeah,
yes.
we want to.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I think he alluded to it. You kind of said something earlier. If the cadets do the O-Flights at an early enough grade, it is possible for them to get their pilot license. upon graduation.
Not based on the O flights.
Okay.
Not based on the O flights. They have to go through the private pilot's lessons, okay? But that's all available in the junior ROTC program as well as the CAP program.
So in theory, it is possible.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
And we'll have two that'll get them. So it's
That's a great
it's really
opportunity.
good. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great opportunity. I'm gonna flip that on you. Yeah, I flip everything.
Sure.
All right, and then where'd you say Republic?
Yes,
A lot of experience there?
13,000 hours.
You like giving back, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll bring you an application for the CAP pilot. There we go.
I work with students all the time, so I'm
Okay.
sure.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
Yeah.
You know what the
We'll
pay
get
is.
you a plane, right?
Yeah.
You know what they get paid, right?
Same
Compensation's
thing they get
good.
here for
Oh,
the
yes.
board, yeah.
0.
I mean,
Oh, okay, yeah, we're used to that, yeah.
We
so.
quadruple their salary every
Yeah.
month.
That's right. That is the beauty of those CAP pilots. I mean, gosh, some of those guys, they just need the arm. They just think about it all day long, up, down, up, down, up, down. You know, it's a pretty interesting process. So, okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great program, thank
everyone.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good discussion. All right. All right, here, let's see. Last thing, any further discussion this evening? All right, that is it. Well, thank you for everyone who are attending tonight. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All right, any
Oh.
further discussion? All right. And the meeting is adjourned. I'm sorry, do you have something?
I was just gonna make one comment.
sorry.
You go ahead and adjourn.
Go.
I went ahead and put the Veterans Day program in the portable